Imagine waking up to the news that a nation long known for its strategic caution has just carved out an entirely new arm of its military, one designed not for nuclear brinkmanship, but for fast, precise, and devastating conventional strikes. It's not a parade trick, not a symbolic restructuring, but a message written in steel, fuel, and range. We can hit you, and we can hit you fast. That is exactly what Pakistan has done, and it's why the world's defense experts have turned their eyes toward Islamabad's newest military creation. The creation of Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command represents a watershed moment in the country's military evolution, and its announcement was anything but routine. For decades, Pakistan's missile arsenal, whether nuclear-capable or conventional, operated under a unified strategic plans division structure with strict centralized oversight designed to ensure command and control stability, particularly over nuclear assets. While this system provided cohesion, it also meant that conventional missile operations were often entangled in the same bureaucratic and strategic caution as nuclear ones, slowing reaction times and blurring tactical purpose. By establishing a dedicated branch focused solely on conventional missile warfare, Pakistan is signaling a conscious shift toward agility, responsiveness, and operational specialization. This new command structure gives the military the freedom to plan, deploy, and execute missile operations without being tied to the nuclear decision-making process, a separation that allows for faster launch authorizations, more focused training regimens, and the cultivation of tactical doctrines tailored to conventional conflict scenarios rather than strategic deterrence alone. The timing of this move is particularly important, coming on the heels of the May 2025 confrontation with India, a conflict that underscored the need for precision strike capability and real-time battlefield responsiveness. During that flare-up, Pakistan deployed a mix of drone swarms, artillery, and air power, but its missile use was constrained both by logistics and the inherent caution built into the nuclear-linked command system. This experience likely reinforced to Pakistani military planners that conventional missile forces require their own independent command chain, capable of acting decisively without waiting for multi-layered political military approvals. The parallels to China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force are hard to miss. In Beijing's case, the establishment of a separate missile command allowed for extraordinary advances in both strategic and conventional strike capacity, integrating intelligence, targeting, and deployment into a streamlined operational machine. Pakistan's decision suggests not only an imitation of this model, but also the possibility of direct Chinese advisory or technical support in structuring the new force. At a practical level, the Army Rocket Force Command could be tasked with overseeing an expanding arsenal of conventional ballistic and cruise missiles, systems like the Nasr, Babur, and the newer Fateh, each capable of precise strikes at ranges that threaten critical enemy infrastructure deep within India's territory. These weapons are not simply tools of destruction, they are political instruments as well, designed to send messages, deter aggression, and alter enemy war planning. By formalizing this command, Pakistan is also signaling to its adversaries and the broader world that it intends to treat missile warfare as a domain of conflict in its own right, no longer merely as a secondary extension of nuclear strategy. This has implications for training, resource allocation, and even military culture, as an entirely new cadre of officers and specialists will be groomed to master missile operations as their sole professional focus. Western defense experts are watching this development closely, not because it signals an immediate escalation toward nuclear confrontation, but because it reflects a deliberate effort by Pakistan to refine its military toolkit in a way that can make conventional conflict both more likely and more intense without crossing the nuclear threshold. In military terms, this is about sharpening the spear without drawing the ultimate sword. The decision to establish Pakistan's new missile command cannot be separated from the events of May 2025, when the short but intense conflict known as Operation Sindoor erupted between India and Pakistan. This confrontation, though limited in duration, was a clear demonstration of how quickly a modern South Asian battlefield can escalate and how critical missile warfare has become to operational outcomes. During the fighting, both nations employed a mix of conventional firepower, fighter jets, long-range artillery, drones, and surface-to-surface missiles. However, the missile exchanges were particularly noteworthy because they were not symbolic shows of strength. They were targeted strikes designed to degrade military infrastructure, disrupt supply chains, and challenge enemy air defenses. For Pakistan, the conflict was an eye-opener. While it managed to achieve some tactical successes with its existing missile arsenal, it also experienced delays in launch authorizations, limited coordination between missile units and frontline intelligence, and operational bottlenecks caused by the existing strategic command structure. Because nuclear and conventional missile assets were managed under the same overarching authority, decision-making was bound by the stringent safeguards and slow deliberation processes designed primarily to prevent nuclear escalation. This system, while safe, proved less than ideal for the fast-paced tempo of a conventional war. Operation Sindoor also exposed the vulnerabilities of relying on a command framework that was not optimized for high-intensity, precision-driven missile strikes. India's use of missile defenses, rapid mobility of artillery units, and the integration of satellite-based targeting systems meant that Pakistan's conventional missile strikes had to be both timely and unpredictable to be effective. Delays of even a few hours in launching a planned strike risked allowing the target to move or the enemy to reinforce its defenses. For Pakistan's military planners, the takeaway was clear. The country needed a force dedicated solely to conventional missile warfare, capable of rapid planning and execution without being bogged down by the nuclear command chain. This realization was one of the primary drivers behind the creation of the Army Rocket Force Command. Another factor was the psychological and political fallout of the conflict. Despite the ceasefire, both sides emerged from Operation Sindoor more entrenched in their military postures. In Pakistan, the public and military leadership demanded visible steps to ensure that the nation would not be caught unprepared in the event of another confrontation. Establishing a dedicated missile command became not only a military necessity, but also a symbolic gesture of resilience and deterrence. By showing that it could adapt its military structure in direct response to the lessons learned from the conflict, Pakistan sent a message to both domestic and foreign audiences. It was willing to innovate and invest in capabilities that could decisively shape the outcome of future battles. Western analysts immediately connected the dots between the timing of the new command's creation and the experience of Operation Sindoor. To them, this move indicated that Pakistan was shifting toward a warfighting doctrine that embraces the decisive use of precision-strike conventional missiles as a primary combat tool rather than a secondary or supporting capability. This doctrinal shift makes sense in the regional context. South Asian wars have historically been brief, high-intensity affairs where the side that can achieve rapid battlefield effects early on gains a disproportionate advantage in negotiations. A conventional missile force that can operate independently gives Pakistan a tool to strike high-value targets in the opening stages of a conflict, thereby shaping the political and military trajectory of the war from the outset. The lessons of Operation Sindoor will likely influence the training, deployment, and modernization priorities of this new missile force for years to come. The emphasis will be on speed, precision, and integration with real-time intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. In this way, the new command is not simply a reaction to a past conflict, but a forward-looking investment in future warfighting potential. By separating conventional missile forces from the nuclear umbrella, Pakistan has positioned itself to respond to the kind of high-intensity, short-duration conflicts that are increasingly likely in the region, a move that Western defense experts recognize as both a tactical adaptation and a strategic statement. One of the most significant aspects of Pakistan's new Army Rocket Force Command is its operational independence and specialization in precision missile warfare. For years, Pakistan's missile systems, whether nuclear-capable or strictly conventional, were managed under the same overarching Strategic Plans Division framework. This arrangement provided a unified chain of command, which was advantageous for control and safety, especially given the sensitivity of nuclear assets. However, it also meant that conventional missile strikes were tied to a system built around extreme caution, multiple layers of authorization, and strategic-level deliberation. This cautious process made sense for nuclear weapons, but often hindered the speed and adaptability needed for conventional missile operations in fast-moving battlefield scenarios. By separating conventional missile forces into their own dedicated command, Pakistan has created a structure that allows for faster decision-making, more flexible planning, and the freedom to launch precision strikes without nuclear-related bureaucratic delays. This structural change is not simply administrative, it reflects a broader doctrinal evolution. The new command is designed to operate with a high degree of autonomy, focusing exclusively on non-nuclear precision strike capabilities. This includes short and medium-range ballistic missiles, as well as cruise missiles like the Babur and the newly unveiled Fatah-4. These systems can be deployed to hit critical enemy infrastructure, troop concentrations, logistics hubs, and command centers with pinpoint accuracy, often within minutes of receiving actionable intelligence. By delegating authority to a dedicated command, Pakistan can integrate missile operations more closely with ground and air forces, enabling synchronized assaults that maximize battlefield impact while avoiding unnecessary escalation into nuclear territory. Such integration allows the missile force to act as both an offensive and defensive asset, striking first when necessary or delivering swift retaliation to blunt enemy advances. The precision aspect is critical. Modern warfare increasingly relies on the ability to hit specific targets without collateral damage, both to maintain international legitimacy and to avoid triggering uncontrolled escalation. A missile like the Fatah-4, with its 750-kilometer range and high-accuracy guidance systems, is a prime example of the type of weapon this new command will prioritize. When coupled with real-time targeting data from satellites, drones, and electronic surveillance, these missiles can disrupt enemy plans before they unfold. In a South Asian conflict scenario, such capability could neutralize key Indian military assets in the early hours of a confrontation, potentially forcing a political settlement before a prolonged war develops. Operational independence also enables more dynamic training and readiness. Under the previous structure, conventional missile units often trained under the shadow of nuclear protocol, with exercises constrained by the need to adhere to strategic deterrence postures. Now, the Army Rocket Force can conduct frequent scenario-specific drills tailored to conventional warfare. This allows missile crews to practice rapid deployment, mobile launches, and integration with intelligence assets, building a force that can act within hours, not days. This independence also allows for the development of specialized tactics, such as saturation strikes to overwhelm missile defenses or coordinated strikes that combine different missile types to exploit gaps in the enemy's radar coverage. From a strategic perspective, this move signals to both India and the wider international community that Pakistan is investing in capabilities designed for limited, conventional engagements rather than purely nuclear deterrence. This could make future conflicts more intense at the conventional level, as Pakistan will be better equipped to respond with force without escalating to nuclear use. However, It also complicates the calculus for adversaries and Western defense experts, who must now account for a Pakistan that can act with greater speed and precision in a purely conventional context. This operational freedom, combined with modern missile technology, positions the new command as a highly versatile tool in Pakistan's military arsenal, one that is likely to influence regional strategic balances for years to come. The establishment of Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command is widely seen as a strategic signal to India, an unmistakable message embedded in the very nature and timing of the announcement. In the complex and historically tense relationship between the two neighbors, military developments rarely occur in isolation. They are almost always interpreted through the lens of deterrence, counterbalance, and rivalry. By creating a dedicated command for conventional missile forces, Pakistan is not only enhancing its battlefield capabilities, but also making a public demonstration of its readiness to adapt and respond to perceived threats from India. The separation of conventional missile operations from the nuclear chain of command allows Pakistan to project a more credible conventional deterrent. In strategic terms, it means Islamabad can now threaten swift, high-precision strikes deep into Indian territory without the political and escalation risks associated with nuclear weapons. For New Delhi, this changes the calculus of military planning, particularly regarding offensive doctrines such as the cold start strategy, which envisions rapid, shallow incursions into Pakistani territory with conventional forces. This move also acts as a countermeasure to India's ongoing investments in missile defense systems, such as the Russian-supplied S-400 Triumph and indigenous programs like the Advanced Air Defense (AAD) Interceptor. Missile defense is often perceived as destabilizing in regions where adversaries rely heavily on missile deterrence because it threatens to nullify or significantly reduce the effectiveness of one side's strike capability. By creating a specialized missile command focused on rapid, coordinated, and potentially saturation-style attacks, Pakistan signals to India that it intends to retain the ability to overwhelm or bypass such defenses. In practical terms, this could involve developing launch doctrines that combine different missile types, ballistic, cruise, and possibly even hypersonic systems in a sequence designed to confuse radar tracking, deplete interceptor missiles, and ensure some warheads penetrate to their targets. The psychological aspect of this signal is equally important. Military modernization is often as much about perception as it is about actual capability. By unveiling the Army Rocket Force Command soon after the Operation Sindoor conflict, Pakistan ensures that India, and by extension the global community, interprets the move as a direct consequence of that confrontation. It sends the message that Pakistan has learned specific lessons from the recent clash and is already implementing structural changes to address them. This kind of responsiveness reinforces the perception that Pakistan's military is adaptive, resilient, and prepared to escalate its conventional readiness in step with Indian advancements. Moreover, the creation of this command feeds into the broader narrative of symmetrical competition that has defined India-Pakistan military relations for decades. Each time one side makes a significant leap in capability, the other responds with a countermeasure intended to restore the strategic balance. In this context, Pakistan's missile command is both a response to India's missile defenses and precision strike programs, and a preemptive move to complicate India's operational planning for any future conflict. The underlying message is that any Indian attempt to gain a decisive edge, whether through offensive doctrines, missile defenses, or rapid strike capabilities, will be met with equal or greater investment on Pakistan's side. For India, this development necessitates a reassessment of its threat models. A conventional missile force operating independently of nuclear oversight is inherently more flexible and unpredictable, meaning India's military planners must now account for the possibility of rapid, high-impact strikes occurring early in a conflict. This complicates force deployment decisions, air defense resource allocation, and the protection of critical infrastructure. From Pakistan's perspective, this uncertainty is itself a form of deterrence, forcing India to think twice before initiating hostilities. Ultimately, the establishment of the Army Rocket Force Command is not just a matter of internal military restructuring. It is a carefully timed and highly visible declaration aimed squarely at India. It tells New Delhi that Pakistan is investing in the kind of capabilities that can neutralize or at least significantly challenge India's most advanced military systems, thereby ensuring that the balance of power in the region remains contested. This form of strategic signaling is deeply ingrained in the fabric of South Asian security dynamics, and the new missile command is likely to remain a focal point of this ongoing rivalry. Western defense experts are monitoring Pakistan's new Army Rocket Force Command with a level of scrutiny that goes beyond mere curiosity, because the development signals potential shifts in regional and even extra-regional security dynamics. While Pakistan has long been on the radar of US and European security establishments due to its nuclear program, the focus now extends to its growing conventional missile capabilities. Unlike nuclear assets, which are viewed primarily through the lens of deterrence and strategic stability, conventional missile forces are seen as practical tools for actual battlefield use. This distinction matters to Western analysts because conventional missile systems, especially those with extended ranges and precision strike capabilities, lower the threshold for military engagement. In other words, a country that can launch highly accurate strikes without risking nuclear escalation has more flexibility to act in a conflict, which could make limited wars more likely in volatile regions like South Asia. Part of the concern in Western capitals stems from the technical trajectory of Pakistan's missile development. Systems like the Babur cruise missile and the newer Fatawi 4 demonstrate increasingly sophisticated guidance, longer ranges, and the ability to carry diverse payloads. When integrated into a dedicated independent command, these missiles can be deployed faster, coordinated more effectively with real-time intelligence, and used in concentrated barrages designed to achieve rapid strategic effects. For Western military planners, such advancements are not just a matter of regional deterrence against India. They also represent capabilities that, in theory, could reach beyond South Asia. Even if Pakistan's doctrine remains regionally focused, the mere existence of long-range, high-precision conventional missiles introduces a new set of variables into US and NATO security calculations. Another layer of Western concern lies in the possibility of horizontal proliferation, where advancements in missile technology could find their way to other states or non-state actors. Pakistan has historically faced accusations, often denied, of being a conduit for sensitive military technology in the past, and any leap in its missile capabilities naturally revives these anxieties. A dedicated missile command with potentially expanding production, training, and research infrastructure might increase the scale of missile development programs, raising questions about security and technology safeguards. Even if these concerns are speculative, they form part of the reason why Western intelligence agencies and think tanks are dedicating resources to monitoring the new command's evolution. There is also a broader geopolitical dimension influencing Western attention. The structural and doctrinal similarities between Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command and China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force have not gone unnoticed. Given the close defense relationship between Islamabad and Beijing, Western experts suspect that Chinese support, whether in the form of training, doctrine sharing, or technology transfer, could significantly accelerate Pakistan's missile capabilities. In the context of US-China strategic competition, any instance of Chinese military doctrine being adopted and adapted by another nation, particularly in a volatile region, is of interest to Western defense establishments. If Pakistan's missile force benefits from Chinese satellite support, integrated command systems, or advanced targeting algorithms, it would represent a qualitative leap in its operational effectiveness, something Western militaries would prefer to anticipate rather than be surprised by. There is the concern about crisis stability. In South Asia's tense security environment, the existence of an independent rapid response missile force could alter how crises unfold. Western analysts fear that in the event of an India-Pakistan flare-up, the ability to quickly launch precision strikes might encourage early use of missile force as a way to gain the upper hand, potentially escalating situations faster than diplomatic channels can contain them. The speed at which decisions could be made in this new command structure shortens the window for external actors, such as the United States or European powers, to intervene diplomatically. For this reason, the creation of Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command is not being observed passively. It is being actively studied, simulated, and factored into broader defense and diplomatic strategies in Washington, London, Brussels, and other Western capitals. The creation of Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command closely mirrors the organizational model of China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, PLARF, and this resemblance is not coincidental. For years, Pakistan and China have maintained deep defense ties, with Beijing serving as a critical supplier of advanced weapon systems, including fighter jets, drones, naval vessels, and missile technology. The new command appears to take direct inspiration from the Chinese approach of separating missile forces into an autonomous branch with dedicated leadership, specialized training, and independent operational doctrine. In China, this separation allowed the PLARF to become one of the most formidable missile forces in the world, combining conventional and nuclear strike capabilities with cutting-edge precision technology. While Pakistan's version focuses on conventional capabilities, the structural similarities suggest that Chinese input, whether formal or informal, has likely influenced its formation. This influence may go beyond organizational design. China has a wealth of experience in developing and operating missile systems capable of penetrating advanced air defenses, conducting long-range precision strikes, and integrating missile operations with satellite-based intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance (ISR) networks. Pakistan's adoption of similar strategies could be aided by Chinese expertise in command and control systems, targeting algorithms, and mobile missile launcher designs. Already, Chinese missile technology has shaped Pakistan's arsenal, with systems such as the Babur cruise missile sharing technological DNA with Chinese designs. The presence of platforms like the J-10C fighter jet and advanced Chinese drones in Pakistan's inventory further reflects the depth of this defense partnership, creating a broader framework in which missile forces can be integrated with other branches for multi-domain operations. Chinese influence also aligns with the broader geopolitical positioning of both countries. Beijing has a vested interest in strengthening Pakistan's conventional military capabilities as a counterbalance to India, particularly given New Delhi's growing defense ties with the United States and other Western powers. By helping Pakistan establish a missile command capable of rapid, precise, and deep strike operations, China indirectly challenges India's security posture while testing the resilience of Western-backed regional strategies. This dynamic places Pakistan's new missile command in a larger geopolitical chess game, where it serves not only as a tool of national defense, but also as a strategic lever in the China-India-Pakistan triangle. Another element of Chinese influence can be seen in the doctrinal shift that the new missile command represents. The PLAF's operational philosophy emphasizes deterrence through capability demonstration, regular high-profile exercises, and the ability to conduct sudden, coordinated strikes. Pakistan appears to be adopting similar principles by creating a command that can hold regular drills, publicize its readiness, and send clear deterrent messages without crossing into nuclear escalation. The very announcement of the Army Rocket Force Command, timed just after a significant regional conflict, echoes the Chinese practice of using strategic milestones to signal strength and resolve. From a technological standpoint, Chinese cooperation could accelerate Pakistan's ability to field more advanced missile systems, including hypersonic glide vehicles, improved cruise missiles with stealth features, and enhanced electronic warfare countermeasures for missile guidance. If such cooperation materializes, Pakistan's missile force could leapfrog several stages of indigenous development, gaining capabilities that would otherwise take decades to achieve. This prospect is one reason why Western defense experts are closely monitoring not just the creation of the command itself, but also the possible patterns of China-Pakistan technology exchange. The Chinese model also offers Pakistan a way to expand the role of missiles beyond mere battlefield weapons. In Beijing's framework, missile forces are integral to psychological warfare, strategic signaling, and coercive diplomacy. By emulating this approach, Pakistan can use its new command to project power not only in times of war, but also in moments of political tension, conducting missile tests, deploying units to visible locations, and holding exercises designed to influence adversary behavior. This blending of operational capability with strategic messaging could make the Army Rocket Force Command a powerful tool in Pakistan's broader national security strategy, one whose creation reflects both the lessons of recent conflict and the influence of a long-standing and increasingly sophisticated military partnership with China. The creation of Pakistan's Army Rocket Force Command is not a minor bureaucratic shuffle. It is a structural, doctrinal, and strategic transformation with ripples extending far beyond South Asia. Born from the lessons of recent conflict, it frees conventional missile warfare from the slow chains of nuclear oversight, making it faster, more precise, and more integrated with real-time intelligence. To India, it is a calculated message that any aggressive doctrine will be met with capabilities designed to bypass defenses and strike deep. To the West, it is a development worth close monitoring, not only because of its regional implications, but because it mirrors Chinese military models and potentially benefits from Beijing's technological and doctrinal mentorship. In one move, Pakistan has reshaped its conventional deterrence, increased its operational flexibility, and added a new dimension to regional security calculus. Whether this force becomes a stabilizing deterrent or a catalyst for sharper tensions will depend on how it is wielded. But one thing is certain: it has changed the strategic conversation, and no serious military planner can afford to ignore it.